Hi, Nikki 9.0. Walty the Don. Oh, okay. So now we live on both. We live on the StreamYard and over here. Okay. I'm about to tell you right now, because this shit was crazy. So I was telling my homie, what's up, StreamYard? Greetings, y'all. I am live over here on StreamYard and over here on TikTok. So if you've ever seen the movie Liar Liar, right? On Liar Liar, right? The premise of the movie of Liar Liar is that he tells all these lies, and then his son, who gets salty because he wasn't able to come to his birthday party, makes a wish that he can no longer tell a lie. In the moment of Jim Carrey, um, son making that wish, he was with his boss who kind of pressured him into, what's up, Drake? Hey, Carmen. Hey, y'all. Hey, Remy. First of all, speaking of Remy tore Clarissa a new asshole in her new diss track. Anyway, in the movie Liar Liar, as he's ending the sexcapade with his boss because his son has made this wish that he can no longer tell a lie, when the boss asked him, was it good for you? He said, I've had better. She gets mad and she throws him out her house. And he keeps saying it the whole way home. When he wake up in the elevator, he could not believe that he said, I've had better. So he's brushing his teeth like, I had better. Now, hey, peacefully, gratitudes and greetings to my mods. Yeah, Liar Liar with Jim Carrey. So listen, why am I saying this? Because I had one of them moments, child. So, earlier today we did the live where I'm doing kind of like the Bible study, right? So then I click on TikTok a few hours ago, and I see that they are on live and they're discussing Jasmine Gardens and um the prompted debate that she had with two of the 20. She had two of them on her page today. And so, because I was in her comment section, I'm like, oh, wow. Like, first of all, let me just say, it was very weird energy. Okay, I'm about to talk about it because, girl, let me just say, I love discussing theology and all of this. Now, I may not be as versed, but I pride myself, and maybe I shouldn't use the word pride, but I am very good. I'm very good with my gift, right? I'm very good intellectually, and I am very good at zoning in and looking at. You could just give me a scripture, and I can poke holes in it just by looking at it and reading it, right? So I'm talking, I'm in conversation with them. And so I have said this on more than one occasion. One, I will misspeak, right? But I will know what I'm talking about, but I will misspeak. You know what I'm saying? But I also play a lot. So tonight, while I was on there, I said the word Lord by etymology means a loaf of bread, right? I'm misspeaking, but I play so much, but I'm not. I'm being serious, but at the same time, I'm misspeaking because I keep saying it over and over again. Now I will go to the etymology and I will read it, right? And when you read it, of course, it says guardian of bread. And then it breaks it down, a loaf of bread, this, and that, right? So when I say it, I'm making my point. The point of what I was saying was this. When you read the scripture of Job, right? When you read the scripture of Job, Makahulu, stop it. Because this is what it's been bothering me all night because I felt terrible that I said it because I felt like if I do it that way, I will lose the battle before the war begins. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, because of the point that I was making, was that in Job, the Lord is speaking and he says to Satan, if we're saying that this is a literal text, right? Although we know it isn't, well, at least I know that it isn't, that, excuse me, I'm saying it as if it's a literal text because they were discussing Job. And I was just looking at it. I just read it because Job is one of my favorite scriptures, but I'm actually looking at the text at this moment. And I say, the Lord is speaking because they were, like I said, debating about where Satan was and how this text began. And I said, well, the Lord says to Satan, have you seen my servant Job? He is a faithful follower and he of God. And so as you read it, right, you will be able to see what it says. The Lord is speaking to Satan and he divides himself from God. So he says, Job is my servant, because the word Lord means person, ruler, or master. So as that is what that word means, and he says, Job is my servant, meaning Job serves him. He is his servant. Job works for the Lord. He says, but then he says, he is a follower and a believer of God. Not of me, of God. Meaning there are two separate people or entities, deities, people, things we're talking about. In the way that it is written, it separates the Lord from God. That was my point. And then I say, by etymology, I say by definition, Lord means man, master, ruler. But if you look up etymology, it means a loaf of bread. And so they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. But I misspoke, right? Let me see what that is. Okay. I'm going to prove your thing. So I misspoke and I'm like, because I keep saying it, but I know what it says, but I keep saying it because now I realize I'm misspeaking, but I play so much that it doesn't bother me that I've said that. You know what I'm saying? But now everybody else has discounted what I'm saying. So that's why I said, if I do that, I have to be clear about what I'm saying. But let me tell you why I was trying to hurry up and just get it out, because the host kept saying, her name is the Empress. She kept saying she was tired. I saw her yawning, and I never go up on people's platforms. You know what I'm saying? So I was already nervous because I was so excited because I love to do this shit. And so when I said it, the girl who was up there, her name was Queen something. I don't know what her name was. I feel like she was being really nasty to me as I was trying to say what I was saying, making my damn point about the Lord and God being two separate people. I wasn't even talking to her. I was just trying to make the point. And I feel like she was being shitty, but before I even started speaking, the person whose platform it was, the Empress, every time I went to speak, she would start singing. And so now I'm in my mind like, oh, she really doesn't want me to say anything, because she kept going off about people talking over her. So every time I went to speak, she started singing. I was already trying to be respectful that if she was going to say something, I would just stop talking. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of got in my head about that. So I was in my head like, damn, maybe she's tired of me talking, because I have a tendency to talk. I will talk. You know what I'm saying? Especially if I'm making a point, because I like to do theology and deconstructing of the Bible. Now, if you know me, you know I will misspeak. I will mispronounce a motherfucking word, baby. And I will watch some shit back like, bitch, you said that. Child, they probably didn't even know what the fuck you was talking about. But that's just how my mind go, because my mind be going fast, right? So I'm like, so at that point, I see that some people you know, what you speak of, it happens. People were trying to find a way. Yeah, but it was just like, I felt bad. I felt so terrible, because I'm like, I feel like I'm misrepresenting my stance. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I was misrepresenting my stance. So I started by talking about the liar, liar. And when he kept saying, I've had better, because even I've been talking about it all night. I didn't went and got in the shower. I was like, a loaf of bread. Because even when I've said it to y'all, I will say that I keep saying it. You know what I'm saying? But I know that it means guardian of the bread, but I just keep saying it. You know what I'm saying? So me not even thinking, I'm like, a loaf of bread, bitch. Like, and so, but the thing is, I feel like this would wish your mind. It did. It did, pretty vicious. Let me tell you. Because as I'm in the shower, I felt like soul and spirit wanted me to see, if you're going to do this, you better have it together. You better be correct in what you're saying. Um, do your due diligence. And like I said, I play a lot. You know what I'm saying? So yes, you can play, but inside of your play, you really got to be diligent about the information that you're handing out. So I have to be more cognizant about the terminologies. You know what I mean? Um, and so I felt like it was a trial run. You know what I'm saying? A trial run to say, hey, calm down, slow down, because I was shaking the entire time. Because one, I was so excited, and two, I was very nervous because I'm always in my head about how I'm being perceived by people. I never want to come off as a know-it-all, but I want to wake our people up to let you see this shit is wrong. This is not correct. Your mind is being fucked with, right? And I don't want to lose the battle before my war begins by people saying, this bitch said a motherfucking loaf of bread. A loaf of bread, bitch. I could not fucking believe it. What killed her? A loaf of bread. God damn. Listen, that shit sent me. I seen her been cracking up because I just like a fucking loaf of bread, bitch. Yes, but I know because I will look at the etymology and I know by etymology what it says. But I couldn't, after that, the conversation was already chaotic. And so it went in so many different places that I couldn't come back to say, okay, yeah, I misspoke, but this is the point of it. To the point where it was just like, I'm gonna get down because already the queen person made me feel, the host kind of made me feel a way, but she allowed me to speak. But the queen person, I feel like she was giving me such like disdain and attitude, and I'm like, I don't even know who she is. I was not even talking to her. I was just trying to make the fucking point, bro. A fucking loaf of bread, bitch. But I take it. Um, excuse me, Miss Pooh, you just have to email email me. If one of the mods will put up the a magic walk email, you have to email me, please. Gratitude. My mouth spoke before my mind could think. Yeah, but it's not the first time I've said it. That's why I say I play a lot, because I've read the etymology of it, so I know what it says, but I always go back to a loaf of bread. And so I don't even know. It's just one of those things like, you keep saying that. Why do you keep saying that? I don't know. It pissed me off so bad. It pissed me off so bad. I could not. A loaf of bread. Anyway, gratitude to you, Miss Pooh. So anyway, child, that's what I just could not even function for the rest of the fucking day. But I had so many good points, but I just was trying to help and get them out. Now, even when I said about Lord, the guy, his name was Rock or Rock Steady, I think it was. He was saying, but that's because the word Lord was substituted for another word. I cannot even remember the word that he used, right? He said the original word in the text is something, and I cannot think of what he said it was. Um, mm, but that also showed me, because my thing is I can debunk the Bible, I can deconstruct the Bible, and you know the text that it's in. Now I don't go into all of these other books because the books that I have read, I'm just like, this is crazy, but it don't talk about this shit in the Bible. But if we're gonna hold the Bible as dogma, like they were telling me, like, oh no, no, yeah, I do, I really do need a pen and paper, right? They were like, no, it wasn't Mary of Magdalene that was the prostitute, but growing up, she was always taught, it was always taught that she was the prostitute, right? And they're like, no, we found out that it was Mary of Bethany, and it was the this and the that, and Gregory Pope the first misspoke, he accidentally said. And I'm like, no, that is not correct, because I grew up in church. You know what I'm saying? To the point where, because after my mom died, we would have to go to different people's house and different people take you to church, and sometimes but you had to go to church multiple days, right? Uh, what it was, they're trying to say is Mary of Bethany, but the other lady Tasha was like, um, she brought up the Mandela effect, which is what I be thinking, because I'm a researcher all the time, always have been. I actually have a Bible in one of my storage units that has a lot of shit highlighted that I talk about, but when I go to find it in other places, I'm like, I have shit highlighted, right? Um, and I'm like, but why am I not able to find it? And she was bringing up how some things that even I think she was saying she looked at was no longer in existence, and we already know what the Mandela effect is. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, we already know that they changed shit, but then people don't want to admit that they changed shit, although they tell you they have the CERN machine, which is how they loop and change shit. So, you say metaphysical allegory, exegesis, I don't know how to pronounce that word, are helpful. Yeah, I don't really know what that is, but you say how many more Marys? Hold on, is it 13 or more? I don't know, but when I read it, when I looked it up, this is what it said. Um, and that's why I said no, because this is what it says. It says all four gospels record her as a devoted follower who witnessed the crucifixion and was the first to see the risen Jesus at the empty tomb. Right? John 20:11 and 18. 20:11 through 18. Now, when you go down and it reads, it's a rumor. It says the conflation. In 591 AD, Pope Gregory I gave a famous sermon that mistakenly combined Mary Magdalene with two other figures from the Gospels: the anonymous sinful woman who anointed Jesus' feet in Luke 7:36 through 50, and Mary of Bethany. The sinner label, because the woman in Luke 7 is called a sinner, Pope Gregory assumed her sin was sexual prostitution and falsely applied that identity to Mary Magdalene. That's a lie. That's a lie. First off, that's a lie. Inside of this allegory, this fictional text, but that's also a lie because it was never taught that way in no church that I've ever been in no scripture that I've ever seen. Mary of Magdalene was the prostitute. Period. Second point is the Pope established the dogma, right? Um, I have to look at it to get the actual which pope it was. But once the dogma was established, saying that, of course, Jesus is the Son of God, and Mary was his virginal mama, and it was an immaculate conception. We don't have Mary's last name, so we're saying Mary as Jesus's mom. The birth being immaculate, which is why really they was establishing the dogma so no one could question. So that's what the dogma is, that no one could question what is given inside of that. So, because everything goes through the Vatican and the Pope, because the Pope is what? Not only is it the home of the prophetic serpent, Vatican, Vatican can, right? Um, it is also said that the Pope is God's representative. So if the Pope states it, it is supposed to be dogma, meaning it is supposed to be seen as fact. They don't accidentally speak. It's not a mistake. So if he stated it and it has been taught all of these years, there is no mistake in that. You understand what I'm saying? They were trying to discount what I said by saying Jesus was her pimp. I don't care what word you want to use. She was the prostitute. She was a whore. And how was she getting her money? Because the money that she got, along with the other women, they were funding the trips. They were funding the trips of Jesus, meaning his work. All of the shit was being funded that way, right? I'm having some connection issues that keep coming up. Can y'all still hear me? So that's why I said that, because that's what it is. And so the lady Tasha was saying she had watched, okay, gratitude. She had watched the movie that they told her. I think it said The Last Temptation of Jesus. In this movie, they showed that Mary was a prostitute. Mary Magdalene was a prostitute, and she was getting knocked down by all of these suitors, all of these men. They were using her as a prostitute. And so they say you see that in that movie, The Last Temptation of Jesus, as well as the text. It's never been mentioned about Mary of Bethany being the actual person who perfumed his feet and washed his feet with tears and cried on his feet and all of these different things. Because when Mary Magdalene saw him at the tomb and she did not recognize him, he sent her to the same place where they were or went to, and told them to go over there and tell them basically that I have risen and I'll be to see these motherfuckers, right? So that's kind of what that is. It's never been said, oh, that ain't really her. It was Mary of Bethany. So then the other lady that was up there, Lily, who actually, she says she's a fan of my work. She was saying, well, then it would also make sense of the one guy, the prince who was, wealthy, when Jesus told him, you can't get into to be my follower, a kingdom of God, or whatever it was, until you give up your riches. And so they're like, no, 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 that ain't the context. So what he, you said never was taught Mary of Bethany. Exactly. And it was like, no, the context of that is he told him that a rich man can't get into the kingdom of heaven. He said it would be harder for a rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven. You would be better off basically trying to stick a needle through the eye of, thread through an eye of the needle or whatever. And so it was almost like, so the host was like, the Empress is her name. She was like, I'm trying to make the correlation. Like I told her, I'm not stating it, but I understand what she's saying. How do you know that Jesus wasn't telling him, you got to give up your riches? And she said, well, no, he told him you got to give to the poor. And they were like, well, Jesus was the poor. That's why Mary was giving to Jesus, because he was the poor and she was funding his trips. So that's the way that all went. Was every third baby girl born named Mary back then? I don't even know. It's a lot of Marys apparently. Question, would that also apply to the Sibyls? Now the Sibyls are what, the oracles or something? I think I've heard of the oracles. We see there's a let me see. Unfortunately, I had to. This is pretty vicious. Unfortunately, I had to block you after all these years because your mods don't agree with me. I don't understand that. Q, I want to speak with you because I'm startled and I need your help because what I've been seeing has been, um, you know what's crazy, Q. This will bliss your mind, and I've been with you since day one. Well, I'm just not going to approve those messages because I don't know what you're talking about. Now, Kay Carter, I brought you up today because I have a bone to pick with you. He said, especially like saying it doesn't matter how much money you have, it won't get into heaven. It's materialistic. Right. But then you're expected to constantly tithe. So if you give all your money away, how is somebody going to feed their family and tithe? Now, my issue with you is you said, Q, we need to sit down and chat. When they say Jesus walked on water, they're actually saying control your emotions. And I said to you, we don't need to sit down and chat unless we're having a Bible study because I don't need a lesson in theology, especially not from a human. But if they were saying that that's what it was, then they should have stated to control your emotions, not Jesus can walk on water. Why? Because Jesus was said to be a mystic and he performed very special feats that nobody had ever seen, meaning he could walk on water. And that's what it says in the text. It's literal. It's supposed to be taken as literal, although it's an allegory. They not telling you, oh, control your emotions. If you take it that way, then that would be you leaning into your own understanding. It's telling you that he was a mystic turning water into wine and able to walk on water. Now, could there be other references as what was being said? Absolutely, because everybody can interpret it in different ways. But if we're looking at the text and what the Bible say, then you have to go by what the literature says. And it didn't say, oh, that means to control your emotions. Because how did you even make that leap? It says he walked on water. And just like it said, Moses parted the Red Sea. So I'm talking about what the text says, not about what your understanding is, because everybody could do that. You know, that's your understanding. We ain't gonna sit down and you school me about what your understanding is, as if it's better or different than mine. I'm telling you about what the text says. It says he performed miracles and miraculous feats, like walking on water, turning water into wine, healing leprosy. Someone touched the hem and cloak of his piece of clothing and was healed. All you have to do is have faith of a mustard seed. See, I'm not saying you're better. I'm just saying that's my understanding. Correct. You said to me, I understood what you said. You said, Q, we need to sit down and have a chat. When they say that Jesus walked on water, they're talking about controlling the emotions. And that's why I said to you, why would I need to sit down with you to get your understanding? Because that's not what the text says. You want me to sit down with you to discuss what your understanding of something is? That's what I'm saying to you. It's all metaphors and parables. So this is my thing. It's all an allegory. It's all stories made up, right? Yes, but I'm saying it in a playful way, not negative. No, I got it, but I want you to understand what I'm saying to you. But you still want to sit down and have a discussion about what you understand it to be, as if what I said was incorrect, and it wasn't. I'm talking about what the text said. Hey, Carb. So I like to discuss what the actual text says. You know what I'm saying? Because you're right. Your understanding or in interpretation of it could be different or disputed. So somebody can't tell you how you interpret something, but if you're reading what the literal words say, excuse me, then that's kind of what the literal words say. And I think that's where people have a misconception of some things. And they try to like, okay, so for example, when we were on her live talking on a TikTok, the Empress, um, and they were trying to break down and say, yeah, but there's two different stories. Okay, gratitude, yeah. There's two different stories when God is saying, um, God created Adam and Eve, created he them and blessed them and told them to be fruitful and multiply, right? Um, they're saying, yeah, but that's a different story. Those he made them and then he does it again. The Elohim made these people over here. And I'm like, but that's not what the scripture says. And it's like, yes, it is. I'm like, no, that's what you're speculating. It's a speculation of that's what's happening. And they're like, no, because he's talking, it's the Elohim that is speaking, meaning more than one. I'm going to go to the text of it. And I'm like, no, that's speculation. Yeah, you can decipher it. You definitely can. And I think if you decipher, it's being deciphered by what, let's even say, if you deciphering it for say we're talking about just UK, K Carter. So if we're just saying K Carter deciphers the Bible and you read it and you get an understanding of it. I can't tell you that your understanding is incorrect. I can only say to you that that's what the download that you got from your soul and spirit of what the knowledge will mean for you in your walk and your journey, because that's your own understanding and interpretation of it. So that's why when the Bible says, trust in the Lord, trust in God, and you know, in all that you do, lean not into your own understanding, right? So I feel like you can have multiple understandings of it, but what does the actual text say? You know what I'm saying? So that's all the point I keep making, because if you're going to follow it, you have to follow it in full, and you can't. And so therefore they're like, no, because you're not looking at it correctly. No, but I am. I'm just reading the text. So my point was this: Genesis 1 and 2. Now the earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. So the Spirit of God, so that to me says spirit is an ether, it is a vibration, it is a frequency. It is a frequency of ether that is vibrating over whatever would be of the water. So, and it says of God. So God by definition is what? It's a supernatural being or multiple entities, deities, or what have you. Okay. So then you can say it like that. So as it goes down, and they're like, no, God made Adam and Eve at the same time. Well, impossible, because they weren't even called Adam and Eve. He made man, and he kept calling him man. It was always being referenced as man. Okay. And they keep saying, no, go to 1 and 27. So let's go down to 1 and 27. So in 1 and 27 says, so God created mankind in his own image. Mankind is different than humankind if you're looking at it in your interpreting, or, you know what I'm saying, an understanding. But we're not going to go that deep. So it just simply says, so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Okay, so now that's that. So they're saying, oh no, he made them all together, both of them. But that would be a speculation and not what it actually says. Yes, you can say that, but then you have to go back to where it says that everything was being made, right? Okay, let me just say what I'm talking about here. Hold on, let me get to it. They're saying that yes, it's going back and forth. Yes, but God also in Genesis 1 and 22, he told all of the creatures that were being made, God blessed them and said, be fruitful and increase in number as well. But it's giving you each day that things are being made. You know what I'm saying? Supposedly. Okay. Um, and God said, let the land, living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild number, each according to its kind. So it goes into all of that. And then 26 says, 1 and 26, it says, then God said, let us make man, excuse me, let us make mankind in our image. So it goes from then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over the livestock and all of the wild animals. Which, can I tell you something? We don't rule over none of that. They have complete like autonomy out there to do whatever they want to do. They have free range. We don't have dominion over them. They'll kill you. A lot of them will kill you. So you don't have. You tell. I dare you to tell a lion, "Come here, sit down. Come here, sit down." So you don't have that. You know what I'm saying? So that's a fallacy too. So as he's saying, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds in the sky and over the livestock and over the wild animals and all over the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. It becomes singular again, right? It does. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. He created them. So it's going back to singular. It's a contradiction is the point. So it goes to how you treat it, I think. You can only treat it one way. Why? Because it tells you to not lean into your own understanding. It tells you to read the text. And that's what the text says. It's meant to confuse you. So if they're telling you you don't question it, believe everything that's being said, you can't interpret it any other way. You must read the text. And then you have a preacher to tell you what it's saying, although you're reading it and it doesn't say what the preacher is saying that it says. But the preachers, they are given the okay by who? By the Vatican, by the Pope, because that is where the dogma comes from. Your preachers have to kind of go by what they learn in theology school, which is okayed by the Vatican. And so you're being taught what they have given the okay to be given, right? That's what it is, though. is what I'm saying to you. So if you're going by, not going by the preacher, that's great. But then you still have to go by what is written in the text. Otherwise, you are breaking cardinal laws. Cardinal laws is what governs over text of this Bible. How can we learn without the teacher? Don't we supposed to ask questions and learn? Well, your teacher should be your internal download. You know what I'm saying? Your teacher's supposed to be your internal downloads. That's why they tell you you'd be better off sitting in a closet reading the Bible by yourself and all this than being in all of these other places, because you should be able to read. If it's really God's word, you should be able to, and none of it is, you should be able to read it, comprehend it, and understand it so you can follow what your God would be telling you to do. Otherwise, it's a complete contradiction, which it is. Can you take things from it? If you use your own understanding and say, well, I feel like it's saying this, so I'm going to live my life by what I think that it's saying because it makes sense to me. That's cool. But then you cannot, that's what she said, discernment. But then you cannot say you got to believe what I'm saying because that's what it's saying. No, it isn't. It's saying what it's saying. If you got something different from it, and that's how you choose to live your life on it, then that's what that is. But you can't argue me about the Bible and what it says going off of the text not being what you're reading. So I took humanities as well, and the stories are not true. Religion was used as money grab. Of course it is. Absolutely. So you have to go by what the text says. Okay. So somebody had asked a question and I want to make sure I'm going to pull it up. Okay. So biblical law is, and they kept trying to say, oh, you're using Chat GPT. Well, they tell you that the information is fed within Chat GPT. It tells you where you can also find the scriptures at when you're looking at it, right? That would just be like saying, oh, you can't use the dictionary to understand what the word says. So, biblical law is traditionally divided by theologians into three primary categories: moral, ceremonial, and civil. The three categories of biblical law: moral law, absolute and universal principles. Absolute and universal principles. Absolute meaning it is what it is. That's it. Ain't no questions about it because it's absolute. Are we in agreement with that, or do y'all want me to also look up the word absolute when it's talking about the Bible? Okay. So I'm gonna Google it. So the word absolute means complete, total, and free from any limits, restrictions, or conditions. It's describing something that is certain, pure, and independent of anything else. Okay. So, moral law is absolute and universal principles governing human behavior and the relationship with God, best summarized by the Ten Commandments. Okay. And then ceremonial law, directives, meaning you're being told what you can do and what you cannot do, but you have free will. So, why would that ever be and stand the test of time? Ceremonial laws, directives concerning the religious rituals, temple worship, sacrifices, and purity, cleanliness codes specifically given to ancient Israel. Civil laws, judicial, societal, and governmental regulations designed to manage the civic life, community order, and land governance of ancient Israel. Okay, so now the application in Christian traditions, right? So, moral law is generally viewed by traditional Christian theology as permanently binding because it reflects God's unchanging character. But God's character is always changing. Now, this is where they were kept trying to say, no, because there were the Elohim in the original text, it says the Elohim. And so they said, in the Elohim, it breaks down all of these different L's, El Shaddai and El Adonai, and all of these different things. And then you may pronounce them in different ways. It depends on which text you're looking at. And then when you look at what those words mean, it could be knowledge and different things like this, right? So that's what the Elohims are. Um, but if you are going again by what the Bible says, and they say, oh, because it was changed from its original text, what's on the scrolls. But you haven't seen the scroll, you haven't seen the scroll, I haven't seen the scroll. If they rolled out the scroll, and so the guy Rock, he pulled up a text that was written in a completely different language, and he's asking the girl, well, what does this text say? Because if you're saying that her point was that God can decipher and give you any answers, and he said, okay, so ask God, your spirit, what does this text say? But it's in a different language, whatever's written in the original scroll, Torah, or whatever you want to call it. Excuse me. So she was like, no, you can't do that. You have to, like, you trying to be funny. And that's kind of where I kind of stepped out at. But I'm just like looking at it. So we can't say, well, no, because the original text on the scroll says this, but you weren't given that. You can't decipher it. You don't even know if it's real. I can go and all of these different things I have written here, right? Um, and and I can go and I can put it up somewhere because they've already told you that they have the Holy Grail, and they told you that that was a chalice that Jesus drank out of, and that's what they was drinking the blood out of. But when you look at chalices in movies, they drink blood out of, but it's a ceremonial and ritual type thing. So if we're going to look at it, we have to look at it with truth and fact of what you're being told and shown. Even when it comes to communion, everybody on here pretty much be in agreement that communion is a ritual. If you're not in agreement with that, then you're not looking at it correctly because you're saying that you're drinking the blood and eating the flesh, meaning you are giving okay. If you agree with that, then you agree with the ritual practice itself, which is how they do shit here in this simulation. So if you're gonna go to church every what is it, first Sunday? Is it first Sunday, third Sunday of the month or something? And you take communion and you say, that okay, we're going to drink of the blood and we are going to eat of the flesh. But why would you need to do that? You're not even asking yourself, why do you need to do that? Whether you're drinking the juice or a cracker, you are taking a ritual that gives okay to this sort of practice. So yes, we're coming into agreement with this practice by eating this. So therefore you cannot be upset when you hear people saying they were drinking the blood of babies and eating their flesh. That's not nice. That you can't do that. That ain't cool. I ain't never, but you do. You do it every month at church. You're okay with that practice. So if I got this and I come present it, what is this? This is a scroll. This was from ancient. And you're like, put on the white gloves. What does it say? It says, and then they begin to read it. That's great. But who wrote it? God does not have a face nor anatomy. And again, we could just stop there because my original question was to them was who is walking in the garden? What God is that? Who wrote it? If you can tell me who wrote it, see, I can't argue with you about what it says. I have to go back to something else. This is what I first saw would turn me on to young Pharaoh. He was like 21, 22, and he was on the streets talking to the guys about Kemet. And he said, "You're still talking about Egypt. I'm already before Egypt." And that's what the kind of shit I be on. So we can't argue about what the text says until we get to the scroll. The scroll, okay, it came from scrolls. Great. I great. Who wrote the scrolls? Did God or your Jesus write the scrolls? No. Peter wrote it, John wrote it, James wrote it, Moses wrote it, but their names was different then. It wasn't really Peter, James, and Paul. Okay. And where did they get the information? God spoke to them. Okay, so you're telling me that I can't write my book because I have two Bibles that I've written. You're telling me I can't write it because what? You telling me that what I know to be as soul and spirit, my God has came through me and told me these downloads, and I have written it down. I channeled this information and wrote it down, and you're telling me that it has no validity because these white men are not giving it validity, but you can't give it validity because your God did not write that. I don't give a fuck how many gloves you gotta unscroll it with and write. You can't hold it. I have to hold it and touch it. And I'm gonna tell you what it says. That shit don't mean nothing to me. Did your God write it? God would have had to have on white gloves with a pen and would have to be writing it in my face for me to believe what the fuck it says. Otherwise, I'm gonna go by what I have been downloaded and given. As Miss Lily kept saying, well, the Elohim means these names means this, it means this, this, and this. And I said, but what you're really describing to me is the functionality of the mind, not even the brain, because the brain is something different, of the actual mind is what you're describing to me. Jealousy, anger, knowledge. You're telling me the actual functions of emotions and the mind. We're not talking about literal gods. That is the God. You are the God that you serve. So why is it wrong for me to say that? You say, so how do we know who's telling the complete truth? That's my whole point. So that means you need to go inside of self and have that conversation with whatever your God is, because can't nobody else tell you what your God has said to you, because God is ether. So whatever your soul and spirit tells you that the truth is, that's what the truth is. It's your truth. It ain't got to be my truth. If I started teaching and I'm talking, and I don't even call it teach, I would just be talking. If it registers to your soul, some people are like, oh, her message don't register to my soul, honey, my spirit. That's great. I understand that. If the message of Jesus registers to your soul, I don't have an argument, because maybe that's your truth. It just ain't mine. So 20 Christians can't tell me there's no other way to heaven. Where's heaven at? God came and got Enoch and he walked with Enoch. Where did he walk? Because Exodus 33 and 20 says, God said, no man has ever lived to see my face. Whoever saw my face, you can't see it and live. So God is going to be like, look at me. I'm about to kill you. Don't look at me. I'm going to kill you if you look at me. It sounds like a motherfucker robbing you. Bitch, don't turn around. What are we talking about? So ain't nobody ever seen the face of God. So how can you tell me that the God in the garden is walking. None of that is true. It's not true, any of it. When you look up how did Luke, Mark, John, Matthew, any of them, how did any of them get their information? They were interviewing people. It's hearsay. What somebody told them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's like me going to interview people and then be like, hey, Jesus said, what'd he say? Well, he told Jessica that wait a minute, that he Jesus told Jessica, he didn't tell you. I like to make different points, because if God was gonna come down here wherever that may be, if God was gonna come down from where he reigned and where he sits, and we keep saying he, although he has no anatomy, he is ether. If we're gonna say that God is a being, God would be ether. So ether is going to come here and put himself in human form, and then decide to give himself over to people to kill him to prove a point. What I said earlier was John 3:16, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. The word begotten means the only father of, he only procreated this one. It's only means only begotten. Then they start saying, well, there were other gods who had children, but that's not what the Bible say. I don't mind looking at other texts, but we're talking about what's being argued. I don't believe none of the Bible. Can you take a message from it? Sure. You ever been in church sometime? It's like that pastor was talking straight to me. He was talking to me. I'm going through that right now. Great. Great. That's right, collard and cornbread. So how can we all be his child if he only had only one son? He gave his only begotten son, which actually wasn't his son. It was really himself. He was tricking us. And he was an empty vessel. I keep making this point. I'm going to keep making this point. He was an empty vessel then, because the dove came. He got baptized by John the Baptist. When he came up out the water, that's when the dove descended down onto him. The Spirit of God, right? Let's look it up. Let's look at it. Okay. 3. Okay. So we're going to start at 3:16, right? My father is not in heaven. My father passed away. His physical body is in the dirt, and his ether flows through the simulations chords of frequency waves in the cosmolite. Because we're in brain waves. We're in the brain. We are within a simulation that is it's not, nothing is real. This is all fabricated thoughts. So my father is not in heaven. So 3:16. Jesus replied, let it be so. It is proper for us to do this to fulfill all righteousness. Then John consented. As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up out the water. At that moment, heaven Heaven was opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and uh, alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased." Okay, now that's what that says. Now, so if God's Spirit came and descended on him at that very moment, at the age of, he's supposed to be 33, I think, right? So he's 33. No, not literally. What do you mean? That's what it says. That is what it says. That is what the text says. You can't tell me what your interpretation is because it says, lean not into your own understanding, meaning you got to go by what the text says. That's why they keep telling you this is a physical person and this is what he did. So if it's not literal, then why do you get baptized at church? You shouldn't have to. What does that mean then? So this is what it says, right? Still talking about our daddy in heaven. Okay. So what I'm saying is, right? Excuse me. What I'm saying is, if this is the case, right? Good question. As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up out the water. At that moment, heaven opened. Where's heaven at? Is it Adrena? Is that your name? Adrena, where's heaven? Because it opened up. You said you like to think that heaven is death, but that's not what they say. Heaven is where? It's not what you like to think. What does the scripture say? Where's heaven? See what I'm saying? We can all do that. But if we're going by the scripture, what does the scripture say? So if heaven opened up, I won't even continue to ponder on it, right? Because my point is this: at that moment, heaven opened and he saw it. He saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove. So therefore, they're saying that the Spirit of God is descending like a dove, meaning flying through the air, and it can be viewed. He saw it. I'm just reading what it says, word for word comprehension of the words that is being used. He saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove, meaning coming down like a dove. Doves fly, so it's flying, coming down, floating, and alighting on him, meaning giving him a glow like a light. It's coming into him, right? And a voice from heaven said, a voice like a dove too bright to see. Okay, meaning light, but it's not too bright to see because he can see it. It tells you he can see it. Otherwise, you saying Jesus is a liar. Let's sit with that. Let's sit with that. Okay. So, and a voice from heaven said, but you are. If you're saying that this isn't what it is saying. So a voice from heaven said, "This is my son." So if God didn't say it to all of these people, God is announcing it. God is announcing. Who is God talking to? Why would he be saying it if can't nobody hear it? And a voice from heaven said, so that means that there's a voice that is like radiating, that is like in full volume, saying, "This is my son, whom I love, and with him I am well pleased." So then let's go to 4. Then 4, okay, Matthew 4. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. So if he knows that he's getting ready to be tempted, right? Okay, I don't even want to touch that just yet, because my thing is this: if he did not receive the Spirit of God until he was baptized, which made him what? Did it give him power? The Spirit of God did what when it came into his vessel? Because it resides within him. Because he is supposed to be God because of that. Right? Right? Right. So you say yes. So that's when God's Spirit came into Jesus, making him like God and of God and God. He is now the Father and the Son, right? So, therefore, that means he was an empty vessel walking the plane. How was he doing miraculous feats at 3 years old? They told you at 3 he was building chairs and shit. He's been a carpenter all his life. So, how was he doing these miraculous feats if he hadn't even been baptized yet? He didn't have no power yet. Yes, ma'am, but we can't explain what other people do now. I don't even know what that means. I'm asking you about this text. He was an empty vessel. Now, you kind of have to understand that, because that means what was in him before. If that is what filled him, because they want you to be filled with the Spirit, like Jesus was filled with the Spirit, which is why you're supposed to be getting baptized. You're supposed to be getting cleansed and washed clean and filled with the Spirit. What spirit do they want to fill you if you already have your soul and your spirit? And what was he filled with? That means he was an empty vessel. So that means he became possessed. I don't care how you look at it, because that's what that means. You got to look at what words mean. So that means he became filled with the Spirit. He was an empty vessel being possessed with the Spirit. Guess what that means? That means he was a familiar spirit, because familiar means family, and God is supposed to be his father. So a familiar spirit, he's a familiar spirit. He's possessed with a familiar spirit. That's not my interpretation. That is fact of words and comprehension. Otherwise, you're going to have to explain to me. So he has two spirits residing in him? It's a possession. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just stating what it is. Right? And everybody always talking about that's a familiar spirit. They contradict themselves saying a familiar spirit, because that's what it is by definition and terminology. Then they always say we fight against principalities and darknesses. You fighting against all of these things, but those are angels. Principalities are supposed to rule. Oh, gratitude, Gary. Principalities are supposed to rule over humanity. Now, I would say that, but my question is, or mountain, what is a mountain? Okay, let's talk about it. but we'll look at it because it really means the same. You know how I know? Because I do this work and I'm also mounted and possessed. It's called a clean possession or a dirty possession, right? When you're looking at a dirty possession, it is what they call a lower frequency, a demonic spirit that takes over your body. But if you're doing um, voodoo spiritual work, right? And you can look at any video of Mastetics when they grab the chicken and they drink and they're all drunk and they're out there and they're blowing smoke and they're becoming possessed with the deity, an ancient spirit. When I do Mastetics, there are ancient deities that come through my physical body from liquor, from drinking spirits, and they heal people and they give them messages, right? Okay. So I want to look at mounted. Being mounted or ridden is a metaphor used in Haitian voodoo and other African diaspora religions to describe spiritual possessions. Okay. So I know because I do this work, I allow them to possess my physical vessel during aesthetics. So being mounted is the same thing. So he was mounted or possessed with a familiar spirit, and therefore that's what that is. And I also talk about when we're talking about he was risen from the tomb, from the grave, right? That means he is a walking zombie because your physical vessel cannot be revived after 3 days of being dead. Can I control whether the spirit possesses you or not? Well, it depends. It really depends. You say symbolism and metaphors. That's what it is, but that's not what they tell you to take it as. This is what black people keep doing. Who told you that it was symbolism and metaphors? We already know it's an allegory, right? Biblical literature is not a single continuous allegory, but rather a diverse library of ancient books written in many different styles, including history, poetry, law, prophecy, and occasional allegories. So, if we're going to say that, then you have to take it for what it is. You can't just say that it is symbolisms and metaphors, because then you are leaning into your own understanding. As black people, we do this all the time. And we be like, oh, my pastor, I ain't saying what my pastor said. I ain't got no preacher. Then where did you get it from? Did you get it from grandma? Because grandma got it from preachers. You read it and got it? Because if you read it and got it, then you have to read it as what the text says, because that is what the dogma is. That is what the cardinal law is. If you're telling me anything outside of that, I can't listen to you because it's a lie. You can't tell me you read that and you got that when it's a complete jump. When you look up the words familiar spirit, it'll tell you that it means family, like servant, one that you know, because the basis of the word family is familiar, right? And then when you look up spirit, let's look it up. And we did it the other day, so it might still be in here. Let me see. The word spirit means the non-physical inner part of a person that gives life, energy, and character. It also refers to a ghost or supernatural being in emotional mood or attitude or strong alcoholic drink. Okay, so let's go down here. Let's look at the true meaning. At its core, the true meaning of spirit is the invisible, non physical life force or vital essence that animates living things, right? Rooted in ancient words for breath or wind. Okay. It represents the core energy, consciousness, and character within a person. Now, my issue with that is that they leave out the soul. You cannot have the soul without the spirit. The soul comes first. Now, why do I say that? Because that's what I write in my literature, in my text, out of download. And I'm not talking about what the westernized Bible say, King James, or none of that. I'm telling you what I downloaded and channeled from soul and spirit itself. Now, that's true for me. It may not be true for you. But if you ever read my book, a lot of people do understand exactly what I'm saying. So now, so if that means, if that's what spirit means, vibration, frequency, ether, breath of life, consciousness, then how is it familiar spirit is a supernatural entity or demon historically historically believed believe does not mean to know for fact. That's not what believe mean. But okay, believe to act as a servant, companion, or guide to a person. The word familiar comes from the Latin familiaris, meaning a household servant or close, intimate friend. So, how did the jump come from what I just read to you to being a demon and a servant? Because it is turned due to the narrative, it's used as wordplay. Like the word life. That's in my first book too. I talk about that. The word life. Life. That's also a play on words because when you're talking to people like the Akashic record, oh, that's in your file, that's in your Akashic record. Well, that's what your life is. It's a play on words. File. Same letters. File is life. Life. That is where all things reside. Your file is the life. That is your Akashic record, meaning your consciousness. So we have to be able to use our mind to understand what you're reading. So a familiar spirit cannot be something that is negative, or you have to take it in the context that your Jesus is also negative. Because he was possessed with the familiar spirit. Because when you look at the words, it is familiar. The word familiar comes from the Latin familiaris, meaning household servant, a close, intimate friend. Now let's just look up definition of familiar itself. The word familiar most often means well known, easily recognized, or closely understood because you have seen, heard, or experienced it before. Okay, let's go down. Most often means well known, easily recognized, or frequently seen. It can also mean knowing something very well, acting casual or friendly, or in folklore, a supernatural animal spirit that helps a witch. Now I want to go back because I want to also look at it this way too. Hold on. A member of a household of a high official, one who is often seen and especially well known, especially an intimate associate, a companion, a spirit often embodied in an animal and held to attend and serve a guard, a person, one who is well acquainted with something. One, this is Merriam, the dictionary. One who frequents a place. So how do you get something negative when you're looking at it? When I've given you both definitions, so that means when you put it together, it changes the definition of it and becomes negative. That's crazy. That's But then they tell you it's all full of contradictions. The shit is not, it's not right. It's not real. Can you make it real to you? Yes, you can. But to argue and say that people must follow it, it's crazy because it's what you believe. Mr. Dean over here says, Dean, is it Sandridge? He says, Hotep goddess, be la Eve. So believe. What I always tell people is believe, and to believe in something, believe is a state of convincing. You are trying to convince yourself, your mind, or someone else that something is true. But to know something is to know. To know it is to know it. But to believe, but I believe that that's true. But do you know that it's true? I believe it. Okay. So you think that it's possible. It's a state of convincing, whether you're trying to convince or be convinced. It doesn't make it factual. So that's all I'm saying. You got to go inside of self. You got to go inside of self. If you get something different than what I get or I'm saying, then you have to go by that if it feels right and true to you. What we do know is our people have been and is being slaughtered by the very people that claim that your God looks like, represents, and they are labeling and making all of the rules as they go along in laws. I do know that. Okay. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And I get what they're saying. Gratitude, Carbon. I get what y'all saying with the believe and the be less. I get it. I try to say bliss and be blissful because people always say love is the highest frequency. It isn't. It isn't. Love can send you into a psychosis. To be blissful is to be in a state of peace, calm, and happiness. Love, they be like, love don't hurt. Yes, it do. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And it can send you into a psychosis. But bliss, you should be peaceful. That is the highest form. Yes, it does. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Absolutely. Absolutely. Bless you. Yeah. Meaning I want you to be calm. I want you to be in a state of peace. I want you to have all of the happiness of what feels like happiness to you and be in that. You know what I mean? I absolutely believe that and know that. So, but that's what I like. I love theology and I like talking about it. I like deciphering it. I like breaking it down. I like deconstructing it. And we can also take things from it. Sure. Again, if it works for you, it works for you. I'm never going to tell you that, you know what I'm saying, what you think is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Say time to go to bed, little baby. LOL. Well, I see you later. I see you later. I don't want to ever tell you that what you're doing is wrong. Gratitude. I just want to open your mind up. That's all. So that's what I had came on to talk about and to give a little information on. I just want you to use your own mind. You ain't gotta believe me. You know what I'm saying? I want you to use your own mind. They were arguing so bad over there on her platform, and people will go to the depths of it. You know what I'm saying? They really will. And be arguing something that can't be argued. You said jazz. No, I was over on the Empress on her platform earlier and they were arguing and it's the way that they talk to each other too. Because even as the host, she was telling some people to shut the fuck up. And I don't know. I think they all be up there a lot together, so they kind of know each other. And I was new, you know what I'm saying? And so I was a little thrown by the way they was even speaking to each other, you know? Um, like the disrespect and everything. I think it was a good time. You know what I'm saying? I really enjoyed it, but I was a little thrown at some of the things that was, being done and said. Gratitude, Miss Michelle. I saw you in the chat too. Wait a minute. You said low key mad because they weren't getting gifts. Is that what it was? I don't know. You said I was like, this is a mess. I think it's good. Like Jasmine is so good when she does it. Let me tell you something too. So the other day I was on here and I was doing the Bible study and I was breaking things down. And then when I got off, somebody sent me a message, which was the 10th, on the 10th. Somebody sent me a message and said, Unc 607, Unc also did one of the panels with, I think it was 10 Christians or whatever. And so I went to watch it and I started watching some of it. No bullshit. Some of the things that I was talking about, he said. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. But he's scared of me, so he won't sit down with me. I still feel like he owed me $1,500. 607 Unc, you owe me $600, my guy. I mean $1,500 because you played me. You told me you would pay my money back, and you didn't. But he say he's scared of me, so he won't sit down with me. But I think it would just be a you say and does and do. He had me send him a motherfucking request for my 1,500 and still never sent my goddamn money. Yeah, he had me set up an interview. He was supposed to be driving from Texas to Las Vegas. He said he had something else to do out there, and while he was out there, we were going to do an interview. And I flew people in, and I bought a hotel room, and it cost me $1,500. And he never left Texas. He never planned on leaving Texas. He basically kept saying he was scared of me, and he even came on my live for a quick second, and we waited for hours, and he never came. And so I want my $1,500. I can't respect it until I get my $1,500. But he excuse me, confirmation. He said some of the same things that I was saying in that live he had said. And I think it would be a good conversation to sit down and talk to him. I would love to sit down and like just chop it up with Jasmine Gardens. Um or even be because I know she's looking for some other spiritualists and people to to be on a panel to speak with the Christians because I just love to do it. Listen, this is not my first time sitting down with Christians, y'all. You said, how is he scared of me? He said, because I deliver the message. He says he deliver messages too, but he says the way that I do it, I just put it out there, um, and kind of different, I guess. But I've seen him sit down with a multitude of people. I don't know why he won't sit down with me. I even offered to do it on the live, which is when he kept saying, no, no, if I'm going to do it with you, I want to do it in person. That's what he kept telling me and my team. So that's why we even set it up to do it in person. I flew people out and everything. And he was a no show. He never planned on even coming. And so I thought that was crazy. Like, so you trying to set me up? What's happening? Um, you got to talk to me nicely. I mean, we could just sit and have the conversation. Like I thought we was getting ready to chop it up, baby. I thought we was getting ready to break the internet. I thought we was getting ready to lay it down. You hear me? But it did not happen. But I've seen him sit down with a lot of people. I don't know, Miss Monica. I don't know. Um, I just thought that was strange. But anyway, he was saying a lot of things. I'm so willing to sit down and do it, but like I said earlier, I gotta make sure I do it right so I can win the battle. Just meaning that, I don't lose control of what I'm trying to get to say before I actually say it and can give my message in what I'm saying. The spiritual ascension greetings. What's up? Can I get a quick reading? I'll pay you. I ain't really doing no readings right now. It's about to be 5 o'clock. You say who is Empress? I don't know. I've never met her except for today. And like I said, I was a little thrown off. She let me up and everything, and it was cool. It was good. But when I went to say my last thing, I said it was gonna be my last thing before I said it, and maybe she was irritated, like, "Bitch, get down." And I don't know, maybe she was irritated with me. But when I started to talk, she kept singing. It was it was very strange. Every time I went to say something, she started singing, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead." But I thought it was strange because she was cussing people out, telling them to shut the fuck up. She was muting Mike, saying don't talk while she's talking. So it was very weird. It really was. And so I was trying to make my point, and then I said some other shit that was just like, why did you say that like that? Because, again, like I said, I play too much too. So I gotta be I gotta be on point if I'm gonna be doing that. I think he is afraid of just that breaking the internet, maybe. I don't know. But it would be a good conversation. It definitely would. If you're going to book with me, you have to go to my email at a magicwalk at gmail.com. Your platform bigger than people. I don't think my platform is bigger at all. I'm very well known though. I am. Much like Jasmine, she's very well known. Like I have clients, I have celebrity clients, but so does Jasmine. You know what I'm saying? She might have more than I do because they don't trust me. um, they don't trust me. They don't know, what I'm gonna see, what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm saying? So they have a hard time trusting me. I've been told by another spiritualist who do have celebrity clients that they feel like I'm too loud. Um, and because of the level and depth that I do see, like what's different between me and Jasmine Gardens, which I absolutely love her. She also says she is a celebrity tarot reader, and she uses the divination of the tarot to pull out her messages. Although I believe she's an intuitive, because for me, my belief is your messages have to be coming from somewhere. So whether you believe it's coming from God or an ancestor or whatever, it will be coming from somewhere. I am a soul reader. Yes, I read inside of the soul. So I just feel like we read differently, but we both kind of have, credentials. You know what I'm saying? I have clients from Africa, Ireland, Australia. I had a lot in the UK at one point. America. Sometimes you'll see them pop up on my lives and say, "Here from India, here from the UK." So I'm well known. I may not be well traveled, but I'm well known. Okay. You say I trust no one but you, governors. They pattern themselves after you. You know what, Jessica? You know what trips me out is I will say something like, and then people who don't know who I am, I might pop up and they be like, "Oh, another reader just said that." But a lot of times I've said things well before, long time ago, or even just before. But they will say that like they're comparing me to someone else, and it's like, I said it first. Now, does it mean that they copied me? Not necessarily, because sometimes if the information is factual and true, then that means that we have tapped into the same thing. But a lot of these people, they will pull information from different readers. They're not really reading shit. Me personally, I don't trust a reader if you're telling me that you are getting information from yourself. I need to know that you're divinely connected to a source of power that is connected to a frequency. You know what I'm saying? And so when a lot of people like, "Oh, I can't tap into your ancestors," then where are you getting the information from? If you're gonna tell me that God and Jesus is giving it to you, I don't want you to read me. I don't want that. No. I need you to be divinely connected to I am that I am, all things of existence. I love when people can also communicate with animals. I communicate with animals. I want you to be able to tell me what that cat and that dog say. I love things like that because it is factual and true. Okay. So I need that. Or I don't want you to read me. And I'm very cautious about who I let read. People will send me messages all the time like, um, I was watching your live and I know that something was going on with you and I hope that you're okay. I could tell that you, and I'll be just fucking fine. Like, that ain't true. And you got to be careful about that because those are word curses. People be trying to speak shit over your life. No, I'll tell you quickly. Nope, I'm good. I was good that day. Excuse me, and I'm good here. Gratitude, you said no comparison. I literally been watching you for years before the pandemic. Excuse me, you said shit. You warned us about the pandemic. I did. But people who don't know me, I warned about the pandemic as well as the what was that shit, monkeypox or whatever. I warned after that about the bacterial, the skin, flesh eating. But people who don't know me think I'm just a reader. I am not that. Like somebody sent me a message, oh, I think it's on his phone, that said, oh, Kara, yeah. Kara sent me a message and said that I had said years ago to pack a bag, to get money, to get these things, face mask, not face mask, but gas mask, right? And she's telling me that because she lives in Chicago, she's had to have all of these different things that I said to have prepared because of what's going on in Canada and how it's coming across, right? What's up, QT? And so these things I've been saying since like 2019 and 2020. Excuse me, but if you don't know me, you would think that, oh, she's saying that, but many people have said that I've been saying this shit for years. I predict many, many, many world events. I predicted that the Statue of Liberty is going to fall, and it did. It fell over in Brazil. Now I'm still waiting for the head to come off the one in America. I'm the one who predicted the statue of Trump's, the money, all of these different things. I predicted those. Um, and still yet always discounted and talk shit. You know why? Because I'm a black woman. If a white woman would have said it, it would have been all over, make it make sense, Tisa tells, all of that, much like they do all the time. When I say something about Sloan Bella, people are like, why are you hating on her? Because she takes my readings. That's why. And then she gets credit for them. I predict so many world events and people discount it as if I've not said shit. I have found lost children. I have told where certain people are. I have, listen, my world readings go viral. I've gone viral. I don't get credit for it. Why? Because I am a black woman and I am loud. I am very unapologetic. I be knowing what the fuck I'm talking about, even when I second guess myself and they don't like me. They ban my shit, shadow ban it. They make sure that people can't find it. Do you know how I am at what 50? What is it, y'all? 58,300 subscribers. Before my ex fucked my shit up, I was already at that plus some. They were already limiting me. I should be well over 200K of subscribers. What they do is they unsubscribe people, they hide my page. People like, why I ain't been able to find you in over a year? I'll be looking for you and I can't find you because they block people from me. They unsubscribe people. People like, how did I get unsubscribed? They do it over here on TikTok as well. It's really ridiculous. One time, the guy came up on my platform and said, if you talk about more friendly stuff, you may have a better result. I ain't got to talk about what you want me to talk about because I'm too loud. I mean, shit, it is what it is. He said, I think it's crazy how I've never met you, and yet since the day I found you in 2020, after almost dying, I've known you. You've spoken truths, and Papa coming on and disappearing instantly was all the proof. Gratitude, absolutely. Gratitude. And again, even with that, I'm never giving credit for anything. Listen, I did a world reading and I talked about a musical band who all of their shit was gonna be stolen. It happened in what, maybe 48 hours or something. Sometimes it happens immediately. The dick pic that happened twice. One time it was Charleston White that I predicted, right, when his dick was out. The other one was Luigi Mangione. You know, I predict a lot of shit. All I'm saying is give me motherfucking credit where credit is due. Give me credit where credit is due. I work hard. I really do. It takes a lot of energy. And I did it while people was trying to kill me. Anybody been trying to kill Sloan Bella? So she can just live freely, talking about the shit that she talk about. Yet my life is always being threatened. You know what I'm saying? I do. I work very hard. Gratitude. For those of you who don't know, I am a author. I have several books over here on YouTube. Just visiting. She is also one of the writers of my children's books. She uses my teachings and she converts them into children's books so children will have the knowledge and understand what I teach the adults as well. I have a cookbook based on Dr. Sabi's teachings, me and Chef Juju. Um, and again, I have one book out that's going to be hitting the shelf soon, as well as a second one coming out. I make my own tarot cards, and I don't mean like on index cards. I mean manufactured, very nice, beautiful tarot cards that people have purchased. That I have. I have another deck coming out. I have a Kipper deck that's coming out as well. Um, I have a line, generational beauty. Not shit that I cook up in my kitchen, but I don't have nothing wrong with people who cook their shit up in their kitchen. I just don't. I have a friend that manufactures it for me. And I go in and I make all of the products myself, the scents. And then everything that I make is vegan, no harsh chemicals in it. Yet they do magic over my shit to stop the production and stop purchases of my products. If I am not shit, just let me be. Let me shine. Let me shine. For my products, you have to go over to blissful-soap.com, which is my manufacturer, blissful-soap.com. And so you can go over there and buy any of my generational beauty products. We have scrubs, body butters, and I use my own shit. This is one of my body butters right here. It's called Etheria. I like to base my products on the deities. It smells so fucking good. Very creamy, vegan products. I give a lot of products away. We do a lot of bundles. We just gave away a bundle the other day. Um, excuse me. I support the community. So I'm not just the person that come on and be talking. People come over and talking crazy and they don't even know. When I say I support the community, I really and genuinely do. These people probably get tired of me saying it. How much I talk about it, not just financially. I've had group me's for people who need help. If you need somebody to talk to, I used to have a lot of sectors set up in case anything jump off. You could find people in your own community that could help you. But all of these things had to be dismantled because of how people show up. They go in and they infiltrate and try to tear down. It's crabs in a barrel. It be our own people about jealousy and money. It's really wild to me. I can't make it make sense. I don't know why people do the shit that they do. If you want to stay in struggle, then you can't keep talking about how the white man got us down and how we can't get ahead and I'm too young to be thinking about God right now. And all of that's beautiful and that's great. I don't want you to think or do nothing. All I'm saying is let me the fuck be. Leave me alone. If you don't agree with what I'm talking about, if you don't agree about Nolan Wells, then why the fuck you keep coming over here? Because you're a hater and you want people to discount me and discredit me for whatever reason. Like they tell you in the Bible, my tree bear fruit. I don't just say something. If I'm saying it, a lot of times it's going to happen. Do you know how many people dream about me? People dream about me that ain't never even met me. I'm just saying. Yeah, jealousy and money is crazy shit. It's crazy shit. It really is. People use my content. Girl, if you go over on YouTube and type my motherfucking name in, all kind of shit pop up. People be getting paid off my content, honey. Ain't never had a conversation with me, ain't never spoke to me before, will go over there and be talking hella fat crazy about me with my content on their shit getting paid. It's wild to me. But ain't never even spoke to me and said, hey, how you doing? Kiss my ass, cat dog. Not a nothing. Not a nothing. And we'll take something. Don't let me put a picture up or say something. They will take that shit and go put it on cups and t-shirts. They will make products and don't even support the movement. It's disgusting to me. How you taking something that you don't even follow and you calling your page that? You making products? You putting it on products? And if I say please don't do that, or if I'm not going to date you, because some people be wanting to date, and if I don't give them a date, they stop following me. They go talk crazy about me. And I'm just asking, can't we all get along? Let me go to bed, child. That shit had bothered me so bad. My nerves were starting to act up, child. I had to take a gabapentin. And it feels like it's starting to be in my system. That shit had my nerves all the way back because I couldn't believe a bitch had keep saying a loaf of motherfucking bread. My nerves were shot after that. I believe in what I do so deeply and so wholeheartedly, and I trust my soul and my spirit, baby, that shit had fucked with me. It had fucked with me because I take what I do very seriously. I, I take what I do very seriously, and what I talk about, I take it very seriously. That shit had fucked with me so bad, baby. I had to get my nervous system back together. Shit, it's all right. You said that would make a motherfucker. I'm trying to tell you, I was in the shower like you misspoke and you lost the message. See, I was sending donations to who I thought was you, but I was deceived by Maya. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Really? I don't know. Wow. That's tea. That's crazy. But anyway, hey kids again. Anyway, I'm gonna go because I didn't took this gabapentin, child. How did you get my nervous system back on track together? I had to, the doctors had to prescribe me. I had a situation that happened a few weeks back, and it stressed my system out so badly. As you know, I'm always in pain, right? Because I really think I have fibromyalgia, right? But I've never been diagnosed with it. And so, but I have all of the symptoms of what it would be because there's not an actual test for fibromyalgia. What they have to do is run all of these panels of tests to take everything else off the table, right? But all of my symptoms fall in line with fibromyalgia. So I'm just like, what happened? It stressed me out to the point where my system, my nervous system went into shock to a point where my skin was hurting. Like just a touch, it was hurting. I was in very much pain, right? And it's called Alloden or something. Alloden when your skin hurts to the touch. And I was like, I was on the couch, like this is, I don't know what's wrong. Like my toes were hurting and my feet weren't even moving. Like everything hurt. It was hurting to take a shower. It was hurting to put on oil. It was hurting to just the wind hit my skin. My shit was hurting on fire. So I went to the hospital, and they first of all they treated me like shit. Fuck you, Vanderbilt. And so they treated me like shit, but they kept saying they didn't want to. Of course, it's a spiritual attack, girl. Of course, but it was also the situation fucked me up because it stressed me out in a way that I had never been stressed out like that before. But it was blissful to me. It was blessings. Okay. Why? Because they said, oh, we just think it's your nerves, acting up or whatever. They trusted me. I told them that's what it was, to be honest. I told them that it was my nervous system and I thought it was Alloden, which is, what happens inside of fibromyalgia. They weren't trying to hear me. They said, we're going to give you a shot of Dilaudid and we're going to give you some gabapentin to go home with. And I'm like, now I'm starting to go off because the fuck are you talking about? Admit me into this hospital. And they didn't want to admit me in the hospital because I don't have insurance. Because I am a company, right? I don't have insurance and I don't have small children. I don't really have a way to get insurance. I would have to like go through this whole process and pay for it on a whole nother fucking level. So I don't have insurance, so they didn't want to fucking admit me, right? So now I'm pissed. And so they gave me a shot of Dilaudid, which I've never had a day in my life, bitch. And I started crying because I said, what is wrong? Something is happening, bitch. She's like, no, that's the Dilaudid, bitch. That's the something because something is wrong. I don't like the way I feel on that. I don't like that. Don't do me like that, bitch. Don't do me. No. So she's like, you're fine. Are you okay? You're fine. So they made me sit. And so they said, we're going to send you home with some gabapentin. Now, 2 weeks prior to that, my daughter who has multiple sclerosis, I had to bring her into the hospital. We hear them giving gabapentin to the girl next door. And I'm like, so y'all just giving everybody this shit? Because they had gave, not this particular hospital, but my cousin's dude was taking gabapentin for motherfucking diabetes. They had given gabapentin to my sister for migraines. Like, so I'm like, y'all just be giving this shit out. Right? I love it. I don't know what you mean, Jessica. I love it, girl. So they gave it to me and I'm cussing and I'm like, they only gave me 20 of them. And I'm like, why the fuck did they give me this? Why the fuck? I didn't wrote reviews and everything. Why didn't you just admit me into the fucking hospital? I'm pissed. I'm at home on the couch, pissed off, and my skin is hurting. So they give me the 20 gabapentin with some naproxen. I don't like to take naproxen. It can help with inflammation, but sometimes it makes my stomach sick and all this other shit. So I take the naproxen and I'm taking the gabapentin. I probably am like 6 to 7 pills in on the gabapentin. When I tell you my skin stopped hurting, as well as the other pains that I was experiencing stopped hurting. Also, I ain't gonna lie to you. Let me be quite honest with you. I did some other shit. I went into my bag of magic. I ain't gonna lie to you now. I went into my bag of magic. I listen, you gotta sometimes treat it both ways. When I treated it both ways, bitch, all of the pain in my body stopped. All of the pain in my body stopped. Okay. Um, excuse me, because I didn't want to believe that, that's also what was going on. But Spirit kept saying, you already know what's going on. True. So I had to treat it both ways, spiritually and physically, right? Um, and so because of that, um, yeah, the pain in my body stopped. Now I can tell when the witches are trying to throw shit at me, and then I have to go back into my bag. You know what I mean? But the gabapentin, it really has helped me. So my sister was like, "Girl, gabapentin ain't shit. That ain't gonna do nothing for you." But it did something for me. It did help me in that way. And so even tonight, I can feel that this what happened, the loaf of bread, bitch, was stressing my body the fuck out. It was stressing me out. So I had to take the gabapentin because I did not want my body to start tweaking the fuck out because I could not control the stress level of I could not believe what the fuck had happened because I believe in what I do so bad. I felt terrible emotionally. I felt fucked up that I had lost the message. I'm never trying to prove a point. I'm trying to get a message across. I work for the soul and the spirit, and that had fucked me up bad. I had to take a gabapentin. I actually took two of them because I said, bitch, I will not wake up in pain. I will not. My skin, that's something nobody should feel unless you're my enemy. But yeah, you said it sounds exhausting. It was. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I'm saying? So say no, feel bad. I felt fucked up by that. I could not believe it. But I guess I'm gonna go to bed now. I'm gonna go to bed, honey. My skin is beautiful. Gratitude. You know what? I get a lot. And I recently got it again. People tell me my skin is very soft. It's almost like shocking to them or something when they touch me. Um, like my friend Lisa, y'all know Blissful Soap. Her husband before he passed, he had I think he touched my hand or my arm, and he went back and he told her he said she has the softest skin I've ever felt in my life, and I hear that a lot, and I don't know why, but I do exfoliate, and I love oils and my body butters, which we sell both over on blissful-soap.com. But yeah, gratitude for saying that. What you say? You said that happened as an after effect from a reading. How did the pain start? No, it wasn't from a reading. It was a situation that I had going on with my family, and it stressed me out because I didn't know how to fix it. And it stressed me out. hmm It was a family thing, and I just was like, mm. You said you got 3 bottles of gabapentin. Come get them. But that's the beauty of it. So to be all truthful to you, once the 20 was gone, I was really scared because I'm like, I don't want that kind of pain to come back. Because like I said, it took care of a lot of pain that I do be experiencing. And so my homegirl husband get them, but he don't take them. And he said, "You're welcome to them." And I flew to get them because I don't mean like fly on a plane, but I ran in a car. I did. Because I said, I listen, if they not going to admit it, bitch, and I know that this is what helped me, then I got to have that kind of help. But I also make sure I'm doing my spiritual practice as well to keep the bitches off my neck. And then I also have a great protection system that keeps them off my neck too. But sometimes the soul and the spirit want you to wake up because you can't be too trusting. I'm too loving sometimes and too trusting the people. And if you get the drop on me, it's because I let you get it. But the drop that you're gonna receive is gonna be so far worse. It's crazy. You said Jessica said that's the devil. You said that's your opinion. You said absolutely. And it might be like I said. My sister said she don't like them, but for me, they work. They help me. They do. You said once it started, would never go away. Disabled war vet. My body is jacked. I also believe though it's your diet of what you can eat. Um, in my teachings and in my books, what I write about is this: you don't age, you decay. Your body decays. So it seems like you're growing older, but it's actually decaying. It's decaying from the inside based on your environment and what you're putting in it and how you treat it. You know what I'm saying? So it can decay quickly or not so quickly. So we don't really age because you can't age if there's no other days. You know what I'm saying? Greetings, Rihanna. Greetings, greetings. All right, I'm gonna go. So my mom used to love trauma doll, also trash, LOL. So I'm with you, sister, with that. All right, bye TikTok. Gratitude. I'm gonna go get some rest, honey. Okay, and say just make sure you're doing your chlorophyll. That stuff is can be hard on the kidneys. I got it right here, Carmen. This is my bag of what I. This is me right here. Besides my ponds, I do ponds and oil of Olay. And then I have the oil of oregano with black seed oil and shit, right? And then this is my chlorophyll, but I also have the liquid at home in the refrigerator, so I do both. I do two of these, and then I do a squirt of chlorophyll in my water and my juices and some more shit. But I do absolutely carbon gratitude, but I ain't. I just don't have it in me, carbon, to do the motherfucking sour sop bitter. I've tried, I bought the bottle. I took a few. I can't. My throat won't allow me. My throat clogs up like a big dick is trying to go down it. It will not let me suck on it. I can't. Carbon, the the sour sop bitters is no. I can't. Mm-mm. It's like I just won't do it. It won't. Mm-mm. I've tried. I don't know how you do it. Carbon will pour a shot of that shit, and he will. I can try to eat the sour so I'll give that a go. I even bought some that was a little sweeter, but they keep saying don't buy the sweet because they don't work good. I don't know. But Carbon will throw that shit back and they be like, and keep going. No, I'm in there scraping my tongue. I'm in there trying to eat stuff. Okay. You say, I've heard that gabapentin causes Alzheimer's and dementia. Please be careful with that. I don't take it every day. And so, because I've heard that, but I do what is necessary for me to not be in pain. But I have heard that and I don't deny that. So I gratitude you for saying it again to me because I have heard just like oat milk because I don't drink. I don't drink dairy and shit. So at first I was using almond milk, and then I was starting to use oat milk, and now they saying oat milk causes dementia too. So guess what? Everything is starting to be really fucked up. So absolutely, absolutely, put it in juice. I might. I've had kratom before. Kratom really causes a lot of lucid dreams, which I love. Um, so I can go back to trying kratom. I think that one might be okay. I just don't want to be in pain. I'm telling you, if you ain't never had that, sometimes I can't walk. So when I went to the hospital, let me explain. I've been in several car accidents, right? And so my hips are just misaligned like this, and then they rotate to the front. So I'm always kind of leaning forward, which people probably think I got a big booty or something. It ain't that. It's my hips. And so when I went to the hospital, they did do an X-ray because my hip was hurting too. And that's when they told me that I have arthritis in my hip. So I have arthritis in my hip as well as the other shit that was going on. Me as well. That's why I take kratom for my accidents. Yeah. I try not to take the gabapentin a lot though. You know what I'm saying? Um, I don't take it every day. And I don't know if that's good or bad. You know what I'm saying? But I don't take it every day. Can we switch topics real quick before I get off of here? And I need my charger because my phone gonna die, and I don't want it to die. I got 8% left, but I won't stay on here very long. Have y'all been seeing the breakdowns of the Nolan Wells white boy genome circles of this last interview with Tatum? Right now, I did a video and I said I was watching something. That's what I was watching, and immediately I saw that allegedly, to me, allegedly, child, allegedly, what I see is Warren looks gay. I get gay from him. I get download DL, allegedly. Okay, I don't know that to be fact nor true, but that's what I pick up off of him, right? And I think he has a crush, right? But I've been watching the one white girl break the shit down, right? And a lot of what she says, I do agree with. Some things I don't, but a lot of things that I do. But it was the video that she showed of Jax. And I kept saying I heard the name Zach. And I can understand that Zach could be Jax because sometimes that's how that shit happened for me. But it was him saying, we love Nolan, and then smiling. And then when he turned, I guess somebody was like, motherfucker, don't do that. And he was like, looking all stupid and shit in the fucking face. I just thought it was so fucking telling, his demeanor and what he said. He said he seemed sick or something because it's eating him a fucking live of what he knows happened. And so she was breaking down saying, why would he call him Nolan Wells by his whole name? And then he called Nolan's mom Mrs. Wells, but her name is Mrs. Wosley or something like that, right? And so there's like, if he's your best friend as you claim, because she says she don't know who that is. She knows Javon as his best friend. So they're like, if that is his best friend, why are you calling him by his full name? Just like Javon, when he was like the body, they're all disassociating, right? And so that's what bothered me about Javon, the body, is how he described finding Nolan, the body. But Warren says the other fake best friend, he says Nolan Wells. And not my buddy Nolan, or Nolan, like, why are you saying his whole name, right? Or instead of his friend. Absolutely, Jessica. I just thought this was so fucking, hi Nalia, greetings. I just thought that was just so crazy because all of the different breakdowns that people keep showing within that, it was something to me about how because that was, what's his name? What is his fucking name? Morgan. That was Morgan that was smiling and shit. And Jax was in the middle. Jax kept having his hands in his pocket, and for me, that was a telltale sign of some other shit too. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the bullshit attorney that was sitting at the end, and I guess he got up after a while. They kept hitting the Carl Cox hat, like he was trying to cue them on certain things as well. He's dangerous. The one in the middle, Jax, I believe it. I believe he's the instigator that I was talking about. I really do. Um, my buddy such and such, right? Because he didn't refer to his other buddies that way, right? They disassociate. It's the weirdest fucking shit to me. I can't trust none of them motherfuckers. But that white girl, she broke that shit down and she broke it down really well. I just thought that was crazy. I was like, I wonder if y'all seen that. Say I seen some people speak on it and say this is a stage. I can agree with that. It depends on how they mean it. You know what I'm saying to me. But I did share a video because the white girl was breaking it down and she was saying how they were here and they were there and the mom was watching them travel around with Nolan's phone because she was tracking about a 360 or whatever that is. And in my reading, I said that they were sending people different places. You know what I'm saying? And for me, that was key and that was pivotal. Them going to different places with different timestamps. Child, let me go lay my ass down. So, excuse me. I'm gonna go lay down. I'm gonna go to sleep. Gratitude for coming, talking to me, and understanding. I appreciate y'all. I am who I am. I am who I am. I love y'all very much. If anybody told you today or yesterday, I love you. I'm glad that you're here. You're worth something. Keep pushing, keep living, make good decisions, and know that somebody on this planet thinks you're very valuable. Okay? All right. Bye, TikTok. Gratitude so much. Bye, StreamYard, YouTube, and Facebook. I gotta go get some rest, y'all. I feel like I'm just sluggish. Anyway, I love y'all. Gratitude so much. Enjoy y'all day.